I took one of the best walking tours in Manchester City by a guy named Joe. On the tour, I learned about the huge role Manchester played in science, music, art, and other areas of life. In this video, you will get a small taste of over 2 hours of a great tour by Joe. His contact information will be in the description below, so you can book a tour with him and check out his YouTube channel.
Good morning, my name is Joe. I run a free walking tour in Manchester. It starts every day from 10 AM at the Chinese Arch in Chinatown, Manchester. On this tour, we will be learning about Manchester's Chinatown and how it became one of the biggest in Europe. We will be going inside some hotels with amazing stories behind them. We will explore the gay village to discover why it is so celebrated. We will also be learning about some music on the way and finding out how people got famous from Manchester. So behind us we have where John Dalton lived. He lived a very modest life. He was a Quaker. His religion meant he never drank alcohol. He was a physician. He was a chemist. There's a measurement in chemistry which is a Dalton, and he was a meteorologist. That meant he wrote weather reports every day of his life. He became the president of what we would call for short the Lit and Phil Society. John Dalton thought he was colourblind, and when he died in 1844 he left his eyes for medical research. A long time after he died, it was confirmed by scientists he was correct, but in several languages across the world, the word for colourblind actually starts with Dalton. France, daltoniere; Spain, daltonico; Italy, daltonismo; Croatia and Romania, daltonist; Belgium, daltonisme, and the medical term is actually daltonism. Okay, if you look across the road, it says Betfred in white there. I'm not trying to encourage gambling, but you can actually go in there and play sports bets. But next to that, to the left, we've got a street sign and it says St. James Street, and above that there's an invader. There's a French artist who calls himself Invader, and in 2004 he was commissioned by the council to give us 47 invaders in Manchester. Okay, so across the road we have a replica of a TARDIS that you would see in Doctor Who, a science fiction television series. Behind me is Red Chili Chinese restaurants. In the 1980s, that was a clothes shop that Joe Moss owned called Crazy Face. He became the manager of a band from this area called The Smiths. Behind me we've got the Thompson's Arms, and that's where the Smiths played their first gig as a four-piece band. The Thompson's Arms was built in 1973, at which point that was one of just 3 gay venues in the whole of Manchester. This sculpture here was given to us by Charles Sargent Jagger. It's called the Sentry. It's dedicated to the workers of the Watts Brothers warehouse that went to go off and fight in the First World War. Looking at this staircase behind me, where does that remind you of? In fact, which film beginning with T does it remind you of? Or which movie? Okay, the B is the official symbol of Manchester. This came about because of the Industrial Revolution. Manchester was one of the very first industrial cities in the world. From a distance, it looked like the worker bee going into the hive. The Beatles made their television debut on that channel. He also presented a show called So It Goes, which is a music show, and he helped lots of bands get famous from this area.
I will upload more videos from this walking tour, so stay tuned.